Hi, everybody. I'm here with the beautiful Angela Hywood. Hi, Ange. How are you?
Hi, well, Leah, thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you for joining me, but thank you most importantly for your amazing chapter on miscarriage. Everyone knows of you, but let's give everyone a bit of an overview as to how naturopathy found you, and we'll sort of weave our way through.
Lovely. So I've been in practice for 25 years, which sounds like a very long time. I can't believe my career's gone by so quickly, to be honest. And I was lucky to have found naturopathy really young. I started off in the School of Pharmacy in Western Australia. I come from 3 generations of pharmacists and doctors in my family. So it felt like the natural thing to do, and I finished that degree and actually went back to my roots and looked at my grandfather's books of pharmacy and found botanical medicine, which was, so interesting. So that really began my vocation in naturopathy. So I then went on to study naturopathy, graduated and started practicing. And that was all in Western Australia. And then I got a great opportunity to move to New South Wales. And then that started my 20-year journey between Sydney and America with my career as well. Then I was lucky enough to be taught and mentored by Francesca Naish, who, is well known as one of the fairy godmothers of fertility in our industry. And she was, of course, the first practitioner in Australia who set up a dedicated women's health and fertility practice in Sydney. And then came my time in my career to then pause and have my children. And then moved back to Perth and have founded a practice here. And like yourself, my personal practice is 90% reproductive medicine, and I tend to see a lot of over 40s because that was my story. And, regrettably, a lot of miscarriage and recurrent complicated miscarriage cases in my practice.
Why do you think it's increasing so much? Like, why do you think miscarriage is changing the way that it is, and, how's it influenced your practice so much?
Well, I think environmental medicine is the core factor. Our soils are depleted. We just don't get the nutrition available to us anymore. Girls are going into their pregnancies, more stressed, more depleted, more anxious, and not aware of base concepts of preconception healthcare. So, and also the impact of environmental toxicities and how they play out in the whole concept of epigenetics, of course. So there's that female factor, but male factor is huge. And doing, all the extensive, research and writing of the miscarriage chapter, which was, a 6-month process. It was bigger than a thesis, to be honest.
But I'm going to interrupt you. 6 months for you, and this is your area, which means for the average person it's years. So, but yes.
Absolutely. And I relished in doing all of the update research with that chapter. And I think the turning point and the defining point for me is, if I can say, the biggest determinant factor for miscarriage risk nowadays is actually DNA fragmentation in men's sperm. I think we would both agree that the state of affair of sperm in this day and age is diabolically unhealthy. And even the very best, IVF specialist will agree that there is nothing they can do with quality of genetic material coming through in sperm and eggs. They can only do the best they can do with what genetic material, sperm and eggs, they have available to them on the day. And this is why the integrative approach and our naturopathic approaches are so critically important, because we have so much that we can do to modify quality of eggs and quality of sperm, which ultimately will reduce miscarriage risk factors. And one of the other things that is, painfully clear with all the research that I did was, the complexities and the interplay of reproductive immunology, a woman's immune system, and how that is so intimately involved in implantation success and pregnancy success, which is an area that, you know, if I had another lifetime, I think I would become a reproductive immunologist, because it's absolutely fascinating, and we are at the very beginnings of discoveries of understanding about that.
I mean, but definitely, I mean, there's two things here. One thing that I've noticed as I keep speaking to each of the contributors is, because each person is such an expert in their field, and you've got, you know, so many years of experience, and you've seen medicine evolve, and you've been able to really define this niche area, and your treatment as being so niche. Firstly, I think your chapter is going to highlight for everyone that, you know, working with miscarriage, you need your level of knowledge, and you need your level of training, and your level of experience. And secondly, that there's so much that you know that works that they can actually start to learn about as well. But I guess that's also why you've got your specialist practice. And with your practice, it's pretty unique. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So, you know, after my 20-year journey around the globe between practicing in Sydney and Boston in the United States, I came to establish, you know, a unique and a bespoke women's health and fertility practice, because I didn't feel that there was one like this available in Perth, and I was thrilled to be able to bring my knowledge and bring my learnings, you know, back here to Perth. Also, believe it or not, in Western Australia, there is one specialist reproductive immunologist. One. In the whole of Western Australia. So I feel like in some degree I'm helping, and our practice here is helping kind of bridge the gaps between naturopathy per se and, you know, the medical specialisations, and help guide couples on their way. We've got a great relationship and are building some fantastic clinical relationships with IVF specialists here. That are really open to, you know, the concepts of looking deeper into the immune system, and looking at uterine microbiome, and looking for micro-infections, and, you know, exploring things like HLA compatibility. And, you know, we must also know our limitations of practice from a naturopathic point of view as well. You know, a lot of my patients who fall into this bracket of reproductive immunology do need medical intervention. So, you know, we need to have this great collaborative relationship when you're dealing with, you know, specialist areas like IVF, and particularly reproductive immunology and recurrent miscarriage. So, yeah, collaboration is absolutely key.
It's amazing, because, I mean, certainly WA has always been such a part of Australia in particular, but certainly part of the world, where women and couples haven't had that level of service. So it's amazing that you're offering it to them. But, I mean, you also, I'm sure, do online consults and things like that, so people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely.
But where to for you from here? I mean, such a phenomenal career in so many ways, and your contribution both clinically but also to education, you know, for so many of the clinicians, and you've bridged science and naturopathy for them, and you've familiarized themselves and helped them feel confident in being able to work with all the drugs because of your pharmacy background, and, you know, all those wonderful areas. Where are you going to go from here? What are your plans?
So my children have just reached the age where they're old enough that I can actually do some travel again. So I am soon, as soon as we're all allowed to, actually back off to the United States to start delivering Australian grade postgraduate education in women's health and reproductive medicine to the American naturopathic market. Brilliant. And chiropractic market. So I'm very excited about that. But going back to America also enhances me as a practitioner, because I get the opportunity to, you know, meet with some fantastic specialists and learn what they're doing, and bring some of that cutting edge learning back to Australia and back to, you know, the clinicians that I mentor and support, but also to our patients and to our gorgeous new practice here in Perth.
Beautiful. Well, I really look forward to seeing it all unravel, and thank you again for what you both contribute to the profession and also the textbook. And I think readers are going to get so much out of it, because it'll give them the confidence in this area, and if nothing else, to know what they don't know, so that they can keep pursuing it, which is great. So thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Ange.
much. It's been a pleasure to be involved, and you know, I know that this is one of my specialisation areas, but the amount that I learned from, you know, writing this chapter was astronomical as well, just in terms of understanding what research is out there, but actually what research isn't out there as well.
Yeah.
And validating our naturopathic philosophies to treat the whole and treat, you know, holistically, and also treat in a collaborative manner as well. So thank you for having me involved.
Thank you. Thanks for joining it all. Thanks.
Pleasure.